I just want to say, you guys are doing a great thing. It's such an uncomfortable topic to talk about, especially for a guy, young guys in their early 20s. And, I'm glad that, I could tune in and, listen to you guys.
Spencer Kobren's The Bald Truth.
Hey guys, welcome to the broadcast. Joe, I want to make sure that we're streaming. It's possible I have the wrong URL set up unless you had to reset something else. But if we are, welcome to the show, everyone. We are back. Great to be here.
We are streaming.
Yep. I see it.
Just popped up.
Welcome to the broadcast. Phone number is 888-659-3727. Let me see if I can make sure I see these phones. We are live from Los Angeles. Joe Tillman is live from his home base in Vancouver, British Columbia.
Hello. Howdy, howdy.
And it is so, I'm just so fucking excited to be here. Can't you tell, Joe?
I am so excited. I couldn't get off the toilet. That's why we're late.
It's truly.
That's how excited I was.
It's such a pleasure doing this broadcast week in, week out for the last 27 years. Getting all the tremendous accolades that we do from the industry and from viewers and from people who contact us or contact me on personally through or try to through places like Instagram and ask me questions like, what are you hiding? How come you have hair and other people don't? Why are you so against hair transplant surgery, which I am not? I'm against bad hair transplant surgery.
What do you know about hair transplants? You've never had one?
Well, that's a question that I get, yeah. Yes. I know a lot about hair transplants because I never had one. I was able not to have one because I learned so much about this crazy industry before I allowed someone to touch me. And I learned pretty early on that, especially at that time, I was not a candidate for hair transplant surgery. I still may not be an emotional candidate for hair transplant surgery, even though I'm almost 60 years old. I just turned 59. Stop pushing it, Joe.
I didn't say anything. That's like nothing.
I didn't shave for a few days. Maybe I'll grow the beard. It's white though. It's like Papa Smurf.
I just trimmed this down this morning. First time in several months. It's summer.
Yeah, I'm doing the opposite.
I miss the mug. I miss the mug.
I'm going into hibernation. I'm doing the opposite. I'm growing a Papa Smurf beard.
Right on.
But I know I sound cynical. Look, I've only been doing this for 27 years, and the industry is worse now than it's ever been. So I guess I should still be hopeful, right? Almost 3 decades.
Well, it's when I get the comment, thanks for
nothing.
No. I'm not going to be that cynical. Thanks for what you guys do. Like there were some comments recently in one of our recent episodes.
Oh, sure.
Got some great accolades. Carolina made a really nice comment about our episode from 2 weeks ago, which is last time we were on Rob Hellner. We weren't on last week, where we had that, I think her name was Tammy, called in.
I remember that.
And that was, I enjoyed that episode. That was, that was more enjoyable for me only because it's not often that we get women calling in asking for advice and guidance and just questions about what they're dealing with. And her case really came through as, I don't know, there's a sincerity to her delivery of what her anxieties are and her questions. It just really came through well, and I thought it was great radio, great streaming.
Honestly, I can tell you this: I would much rather just do a show for women at this stage of the game. They come on the air, they're kind, they're grateful, they understand that there's no They're not jockeying for testosterone position. They're upset, but they're not angry. They're just trying to get help. And if you look at the Women's Hair Loss Project, WHLP Network, and if she posts something, the love that this woman gets, the appreciation that she gets for trying to guide people in the right direction and share her story, it's unbelievable.
You go, girl.
Yeah.
I don't hear you go, boy. Do you?
We hear it. We get it, and that's great. And it's not just about, I don't want sycophants, and I just don't, I don't need, like you see these plastic surgeons that, put up these before and after images, and even this one guy recently I've been following, he does really good work, but every after has makeup on. And I just want to say, brother, listen, brother, come on. But you just hear all of these, but you hear all he's good. I could see he's good. I could see the structural changes that he's doing, and, he's this guy's really in shape, and he really he takes care of himself and his patients really well, and he gives really great guidance. What was I going to say? Oh, the sycophants. So, but just the people that just they become fans of these plastic surgeons, and they're just they're gushing over all this shit. I tell people, you're probably not a candidate for a hair transplant if you're 23 years old, and they want to find me and shoot me in an alley. They want to know where I live.
Oh, Jesus.
What the fuck do you know, brah? Oh, what's the matter with your dog?
She's losing her mind. Barking like crazy. She does that. It's okay. On call in the house. On call 21. Welcome.
But, so I took last week off. I was just like, I need a break. Summer. I didn't want to do the show. I had actual work to do in the industry with the American Hair Loss Association, stuff that actually gets out to potential consumers and patients, where they can be helped. They're not looking at personalities. They're not just trying, we're providing information to resources that provide information to patients. And that is very satisfying that we have that type of reach. And I was like, I'm just I'm going to handle this shit this week. And maybe I'll come back for the show. Maybe I won't. You drag me back in. I'm here. We'll answer your questions. We are live. It's a call-in show, 888-659-3727. I did speak briefly last time we were on the air that, I may start doing a podcast situation as opposed to just a live broadcast where I actually speak with real people, not just pimping out doctors, but real people who are in the quasi-limelight or in the online limelight or whatever about their hair loss situation. I have a couple of potential guests who are interested in doing it, but they would have to share it on their social media so that we can kind of make this, grow quickly. But there's a part of me that's like, do I want to do it? Do I want to be one of these online podcasters, where it's just like you got to just keep up with the content, constantly keeping up with the content. And then as it grows, I can only make money from so many resources. I can't just allow advertisers to advertise, on the, on the show. And I can't allow YouTube to advertise anything on the program. So I'm kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place at this stage. If I don't do it, I'm just kind of almost not complacent, but I'm almost, what's the word, Joe? What is the word? Not complacent. I'm almost at fault to some degree of allowing you guys to fucking, be led into the lion's den. Because I know I have the capacity to make the show bigger, like on YouTube or whatever it is. Interview celebrities, shit like that. But then there's a part of me is like, we've given you guys these resources for so many years, And people love it, but there's just so many haters out there. Why do I need this shit? So I'm voicing my midlife crisis, potentially internal struggles with continuing to do this broadcast or a broadcast about hair loss. Part of me is just shut it down and let all these guys take advantage of you online. There's a lot of them. There's a low-hanging fruit doctors who are out there that will discuss celebrity hair transplants and all that shit without their permission. And there's the guys that are doing online consultations, which in some cases I think it's okay. Not a lot of truth being told. So I'm going to take a phone call, Joe. But we do have some trusted content creators. We started this trusted content creator program through the American Hair Loss Association. We have a few guys that are doing some really good work. But that's a hard thing, too, because people are now applying to become trusted content creators, and then they're getting butthurt because we have to turn them away. They're like, what the fuck is with you? I have 90,000 subscribers. Why can't I be a part of this? It's not about how many subscribers you have, people. We're trying to guide people in what we believe to be a safe direction, an honest direction.
See, that's an angle I didn't think about. It's like setting up the trusted content creator program. Great idea, but then I think what you didn't factor in was those that you turn down become your online haters.
Online enemies. Absolutely.
I'm waiting to see some videos about that now.
Dude, it never fucking fails. I've been doing this for almost 30 years. It never fails. You try to do something good, and people go nuts. Happened with, when I started the IHS, with that message forum guy. In fucking sanity. That was the start of online terrorism, in this industry that I could never have imagined occurred in my lifetime. 888-659-3727. Look, it's the Hair Loss Show. We're here to answer your questions, talk to you about anything and everything hair loss. I may give this beard a try. Let's see what it looks like in a week. Now that I'm seeing it on camera, I'm starting to see the white hair on the sides coming through, and just trying to maybe look like Joe a little bit, even though he's shaved. Let's see who this is. Hey, you're on the air. Who's this and where are you calling from?
Like Joe a little bit.
Hey, man, you got to turn down your radio or your computer.
Hey, you're on the air. Who's this and where are you calling from?
Dude, I could hear your
Hello?
computer. Hello.
Oh, shit. I made it through?
You made it through. You got to turn down your sound. You got to turn down your computer.
Wait, sorry.
Brother.
Give me 1 second. Sorry. Yeah, what's going on, guys?
How are you? Who's this?
Good. How are you? You guys can call me Riz. I'm calling from up north, from Canada.
What's happening, Riz?
Well, I've been watching your show for on and off, for the last 10 years, and to be honest, it saved me a lot of heartache, and you guys provide a good service, so thanks for that.
Dude, you're due east of me. There's no north of you. You're east of me, man.
I am east of you. Yes, exactly.
I can hear it in your voice. I can hear your accent.
Well, guys, I've been watching the show on and off for 10 years, and I don't want to hang around it too often, but it's a great service.
Neither do we.
And thanks to you guys, I discovered finasteride, and it saved me a lot of heartache. And I actually have a bunch of questions. Maybe we can go through them rapid fire, and we can save each other some time. How does that sound?
Go ahead.
We got
brother.
2 hours. An hour and a half.
Well, okay. So question number one is do you both still use finasteride?
Sure. Question number one answered.
Okay, and
I just upped my dosage.
What do you guys think of this schedule, in terms of dosing? I take 5 milligrams at the start of the month, and then 2.5 in the middle, and that's about it. And have I lost some ground? Sure, but it works for me. And to be honest, like kind of like a Norwood 3.5, whatever the fuck that means, but I would have been a lot worse if it wasn't for this pill.
I'm trying
right?
I'm trying to figure out what you're dosing. So you say you take 1 5 milligram dose at the beginning of the month, and then
At the start of the month, and then 2.5 in the middle. And sometimes, if I'm feeling adventurous, I'll add another milligram like a week later. But like my point being that in the trials, like 0.1 did the trick as well, right? And this dosing is working for me. And
but I'm trying to figure it out. I don't mean to cut you off, but you're taking 3 doses per month.
Exactly, yeah.
At most.
5, 2.5.
Usually 2 doses, sometimes 3 doses, if he's feeling adventurous.
Exactly, yeah. Joe got it, yes.
All right,
Okay.
and you believe that it's helped you maintain your hair all these years.
Look, I mean, this dosing has been there for like maybe I would say the last like 3-4 years. Before that, I actually got an idea from you. I think on one of your like episodes, you said that you take 5 milligram like every Sunday. I did that for a bit, and then I kind of like settled on this one. And in the last 4 years, like, have I lost some more ground? Sure, yeah, maybe I have, but it's still maintaining. I think I may have been just a good responder, and this dosing is working. And for the most part, like, I don't know. I feel like I want to stick to it, but I wanted to get like your opinion on that dosing schedule.
I'll give you my opinion. My opinion is I'm a big believer in intermittent therapy. I have been a success story of it. I've recently upped my dosage from, I was taking it on average about once a week for many, many years. Well over
the 5 milligram, right?
5 milligram, yeah. Okay. And then I started to lose some ground. I noticed it maybe about 2 years ago, and I started to titrate my dosage, taking it about every 5th day, 4 or 5 days. Sometimes I would forget, take it on the 6th day. So, but I took it closer together. Now I'm at about recently, because I've noticed more retrograde alopecia. Not terrible, but the nape has changed. So I may have to do like a fade, like Andrew Zarian eventually. But I decided to increase my dosage to essentially 2 5 milligram dosages once a week. I mean, every week. So it's like every 3rd day I take a 5 milligram dose. I've had no changes as far as the way that I feel, no adverse side effects that I'm aware of, and we'll see how it works for me. So, but as far as your dose is concerned, you have to understand that, yes, I mean, I am a believer that you can load your body up on the drug. And again, I'm not a doctor, people. All right?
Yeah.
So
I know that, yeah.
Everyone else is listening.
I know you got to give that whole spiel.
Yeah.
I know that, yeah.
Not a physician.
But, like, I trust your opinion.
But the way that finasteride works in our bodies is it has a short half-life, relatively short half-life. However, your DHT doesn't start to lower till about 48 to 72 hours after your last dose. So,
right.
In my case, the way that I thought about it was, and again, I'm not a scientist either, just as my logic was, okay, I'm essentially blocking about 75% of my DHT with a 5 milligram dose, in the 70s, right? You really don't need that much anyway to get a good result. So if the effects start to wane and my DHT starts to increase in a few days, then I kind of hit it with another 5 milligram dose and it goes back down. So it was kind of like ebbing and flowing throughout the week. In your case, you're allowing your DHT, if you're waiting 2 weeks to take your second dose, you're essentially allowing your DHT to get back to baseline.
Right.
And then you're hitting it with another dose.
It's kind of like, like 5 milligrams at the start, like 10 days later, I'll do like a 2.5, and then another 10 days, maybe I'll add that 1.5, something like that. Usually, like, it's not like religious.
Yeah.
And, it's been working 100%. I definitely have lost more ground, but, I'm okay with it. And and
let me ask you this. Let me interrupt you. If you know it's working, but then you just said that you're definitely losing ground, then how do you know it's working?
Lost a little bit of ground. Like, that's the key word. Like, very, very little. For the most part, I have to say, I started using it, let me see now, like when I was 27, and looking at the history, it's not the best. Like, my dad's like a Norwood 6, so like the trajectory is definitely not good. But I don't know if I was a great responder to the pill, but like for the most part, like at that age, at 26, 27, when I started, it pretty much halted it, and it's been around that, give or take, for the last 10 years. Have I had any side effects? Not that I know of. But then at the same time, as I'm getting older, like my body is feeling a little weaker and stuff. Like, again, like anything you can relate to finasteride. I'm 37, and I'm a big. So, yeah. Also, if you guys hear a little cockatiel in the background, I apologize. I have a bird. But yeah, so I'm 37 now. I'm like a big, gym guy, not like super buff, but like working out, running, all of that stuff is important to me. But another problem is that I was a smoker for a long time too. So now I don't know if that had any effect, but everything has been fine, but maybe here and there I may have felt a little drop in libido, and I think I do have a pretty high libido as well, right? So I mean, I've stayed away from these fucking forums, didn't even know that they existed until, I don't know, I started watching your show, and I've heard on that there's people that have side effects, but I didn't even know about that. And for the most part, it's been smooth sailing for me, right? So with age and all of that, and then you hear a few things it can cause some damage to the kidneys, and I don't know, it's just crazy shit all over the place. So I kind of wanted to get your guys' opinion on all that stuff.
Well, all I can say is if you're doing well, if you're somehow maintaining a lower DHT level, which you probably are because you've been on for so long and you were taking it once a week for a while, it does take about it takes about 48 hours before your DHT starts to rise again after your last dose. And that's, it could maybe get back to, it could rise maybe 10% every, couple of days until the 2-week mark, where in most people it gets back to baseline.
Okay.
For whatever reason, you're doing okay on the medication. If you feel you're not losing a lot of ground, then there's no reason to put more medication in your body.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's my thought process. And this second question's for Joe. What are your thoughts on Topical? Because if I'm not mistaken, you switched to that completely, right? Or do you still take?
I did at one point. I did at one point, but I switched back working. To. Yeah, until my hair fell out.
Yeah.
No. I used it because I have easy access to it because I'm just down the street from where it was originally formulated. I was there when the idea for it first popped up 15 years ago.
Right.
And I thought, you know what? Why not try it? And I made the switch over.
What's the deal on getting some of that in Canada? How?
Just call the or fill out the form online. I don't know. I didn't go through the website because I got direct access, through the clinic. And I got a specific prescription for it. Let me answer your question. Hold on. Let me answer your question.
Go ahead.
So I took it for the full period that I think it was good for a month, and then I think I re-upped it a few times. I forgot how long it was good for, but anyway, I used it for about 6 months, I think, if I remember correctly. Mm-hmm. And I didn't experience a change that I could notice.
You use it every day?
Yeah, I used it every day. So that meant I was actually upping my dosage, because by the time I switched to it, I think I was doing every other day, like Monday, Wednesday, Friday with my tablet. So long story short, I loved using it because it was the best styling agent I'd ever used.
Most expensive mousse he's ever bought, ever purchased.
You know, hair clay, mousse, whatever you use, this beats it hands down. No question about it. Full stop. But I started thinking about how much of this is in my hair and how little of it actually got to my scalp, which is not what you go through when you're using more of a liquid topical formulation. So I decided I didn't like the idea of, like, it's already a lower dose supposedly than what you're getting in tablet form if you're taking more than 1 milligram. So I just felt like too much of it was in my hair and not on my scalp. I didn't want to risk it anymore, so I switched back over to oral, and I haven't looked back since.
And
I think it's best for those guys that have more visible scalp with less hair in the way. That's fine.
Okay.
Shouldn't be a problem with it. And that's
and
that
what
particular
kind of are you back
topical
right now?
Right now, I'm doing. What am I doing? I'm just doing 1 1/4 every other day.
Okay.
Out of a 5 milligram tablet. Yeah.
Cool.
And that's
all right. Now, thanks a lot, guys. Okay, so question number 2.
Mm-hmm.
This is for both of you. Let's break it down into parts. I think I'm at that place where I'm possibly ready for a hair transplant. Like, I've been looking into it for many, many years now. Like, the advice that you guys have given on the show is super useful. And I think I've narrowed it down to, and like, you know, being at 37, being a decent responder, being okay for like the last, 5 to 8 years, I think it's a good next step, right? So both of you, like, what are your thoughts on, is Dr. Rahal, because he's very close to me, is he still top of the line? That's for Spencer. And Joe, for you, why is he no longer listed on your website? Well, both questions are
you get the tough one.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know. I really want to know your views, both of you, on him as a surgeon. I mean, like 10 years ago, this man was considered a god, and he's literally like 2 hours away from me. So, you know, like,
I'm going to tell you this: there are no gods in this industry.
All right. Yeah, no, I hear that. I feel that. But, like, I mean, he was, let's just say, he was top of the line 10 years ago. Is that still the case?
And he still is. And his team still is. And I see a lot of, there's a lot of good results coming out of Dr. Hall's office. But here's my question to you. I'm trying to figure this out. All right. You've been taking finasteride for a very long time.
Yeah, 7-8 years.
Right. And 8 years ago, did you think you'd be a candidate for a hair transplant, or did you believe you were a candidate at the time?
To be honest, like, it would have depended on the trajectory of the hair loss. Like, if, for example, I never went on finasteride, I probably would have been a Norwood 6, because that, you know, that is just in the line, that's in the genetics.
Right.
So,
but at that time, has your hair progressed a lot, significantly from?
No, a little. It has progressed, but very, very, very slowly.
Now, do you think that if you took a more traditional dosage of finasteride, that you would even be considering a transplant right now if it didn't progress at all?
I would be. You
would be, okay.
Yeah, because the thing is that it's kind of one of those things where under some lighting it looks amazing, but like under some it's like, holy shit, what's going on? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you know what it feels like, right?
Yeah.
So it's one of those situations, and I feel like a good result. And like, you know, I haven't been taking it lightly. Like, I've been thinking about it for like the last like 6, 7, 8 years, right? And things have been pretty stable. They've been okay. So like at 37 going on to 38, I think it's a good step. And again, I don't want to rush into it. Like, I've looked into Hassan and Wong as well. Like, they're also in Canada. Do I want to take a flight and go somewhere else? Probably not. If two of like the best clinics happen to be in this country, then why not keep it close to home? That's the first thing.
I think if you're able to keep it close, the closer to home, in my view, the better. Always when you're dealing with
Right.
anything when it comes to medicine and sex, but that's another story.
Have you guys personally seen any complaints from? And I know, of course, there's going to be.
I have seen complaints from every physician, almost every physician that has ever been a part of the IHRS.
Right.
There's maybe one or two guys I never received a complaint from, or we haven't through the organization. But every single, you're going to find them online. You're going to find them on these new resources like what's the name of that resource? Reddit or whatever. You're going to find all kinds of crazy shit out there on everybody. Be prepared for it. That's it. That can't stop you from moving forward with the information that you have. You just need to educate yourself as a consumer, as the best, in the best possible way you can. And you've been listening to the show for a long time. So when people ask me that question, like any complaints, of course, this is cosmetic surgery. The best doctors in the country and around the world have some of the most unhappy patients just because that particular patient didn't get a great outcome in their minds or potentially even objectively, and they believe this particular doctor, whoever it was, ruined their life. So they, in their minds, it was the worst experience ever. And they're the ones who give the 1 stars. That's just the way it is.
Mm-hmm.
So to answer your question, I have heard nothing new, nothing negative about Dr. Hall's practice in recent years. He has always been doing state-of-the-art hair transplant surgery, even when they converted over to FUE. So, he's in your backyard. It's a great place to start, at least having a consultation.
Right. And Joe, in your mind, is he still top of the line? What's going on there? Why isn't he on your website anymore?
He was never on my website.
That's a question to answer. You don't have to.
No.
I was just curious.
He was never on my website.
Okay.
Ever. Yeah, he was never on my website. And no, well, those are two different things, and both things can be true at the same time. But yeah, I worked with him. That didn't make sense what I just said. I did work with him, but he was never on my website because when I worked with him, it was before I was independent and I was working with multiple clinics. I worked for him as an employee at one point. It was short-lived. It was like 6 months. And then I started doing what I'm doing now with Hair Transplant Mentor, where you see all these other doctors. So, and the reason why he's not on my website, or hasn't been, is because he never applied.
Okay.
And that's fine.
But as a surgeon, do you from your expertise, spend hold him in high regard as a surgeon for his work? All of it. Okay.
Well, I wouldn't have worked for him if I didn't. I'm not going to work for a schmuck, right? I mean, if I'm going to work for someone, they got to be really good. And I can even say that had he applied in the past, he would have been on my website because I know, or I can't say I know how things work now, but 10 years ago when I worked for him, I was at the clinic for almost a month, every day for 12 hours a day, learning their protocols, learning how they do things, and it was fine. There's nothing wrong with it. It was actually top shelf. So back then, easy, no problem. Now, I don't know because I don't know what's changed. But I mean, I can pick up the phone and call him anytime I want to find out. But I'm sure he'd be easily on my website right now if he were to apply.
I'm actually think if Joe picked up the phone and said, "Hey, look, you should apply," he probably would. But that's not what Joe does.
I don't. Yeah, I don't do that.
Is it true that he still uses, or because I know at least again I look into these things on and off. I want to live my life. It's not the most important thing in the world. Of course, it affects all of us, but at least when I was doing my research 5 years ago, he was using the robot a lot, right? Is that still a thing,
He
or
he wasn't
Very short period of
he
time.
wasn't even using it 10 years ago. He used
Okay.
it one time.
okay,
One time.
Okay, so okay, gotcha.
And that was it.
And like,
That
I
was
mean,
it.
it's the majority of like, I guess like the important work would be done by him, and then his staff like takes care of like the menial tasks. Is that how it works? Or
There's no menial tasks in hair transplant surgery.
right?
That is a huge misnomer.
Okay.
You know, and even in traditional harvesting, strip harvesting, I always found that fascinating. That the way that everyone relied on the physician's reputation, and the vast majority of the transplant was still being performed by technicians. That's how the industry was built.
Mm-hmm.
The industry was built
Yeah.
in order to remove so many grafts and to cut sliver and then to cut into dissect so many grafts and then place them. You needed a team, and it's the team and the weakest link in that team that dictates the outcome of your hair transplant. Nothing has changed. And that's why I find it so fascinating when certain organizations or, like the old guard and people are bitching about technicians performing extractions. And I'm not saying that I'm a huge fan of that. It's just that the way that the industry works. But hair transplant surgery is always performed by technicians. Period. There are certain steps performed by physicians, like removing the strip, suturing the strip, and making recipient site slits or holes. In most cases. In some cases, even the top physicians in the field were doing what's known as stick in place, letting their technicians make those recipient sites.
Mm-hmm.
So I
And
think
his
the whole
team has
discussion
been
is
with them
such
for a long time.
bullshit. Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Right.
Not coming from you, but just in the industry itself. The entire
Of course.
industry was built on hiring kind of, non-medical personnel to perform surgery. How do you feel about that, Joe? Am I right about that?
You're absolutely right. And it's when the rise of these clinics, we'll just say outside of North America, started to become more prominent. When these clinics were moving to the forefront, that's when the powers that be that basically built this industry exactly like Spencer just described. That's when they started to get their panties in a bunch because these other clinics were eating their lunch. And so
Right.
they decided to take an angle that they knew these other clinics couldn't take, which is, doctor-only extraction. That's what we do. And not oddly, but hypocritically, they weren't actually doing a lot of the work. Or a lot of these clinics that support this idea that it should be doctor-only are not doctor-only. They have technicians that do it. So there's a lot of sleight of hand going on in the industry when it comes to that.
It's complete. It's all bullshit. There's a handful of guys who do it all, who do the entire procedure themselves. Chris Verona out here in Southern California, he does the entire procedure himself, which is amazing, actually. But if you look at him, he's built like a bull, and
He really is.
he really is. This guy takes great care of his body, so he's able to do it. It doesn't look like a drinker. Really looks like he takes tremendous care of his, of his vessel. And, he decided that he wants to do all the extractions and all the recipient site creation and the placement himself, which is wild.
Now, coming back to I guess finasteride for a second, all the surgeons that the two of you work with or are closely in touch with over the years, when these surgeons are prescribing the medication to their clients, in their practice, are you guys aware of the level of side effects that
I am.
Yeah, and what is
I
that?
am. We did a poll a few years ago through the International Alliance of Hair Restoration Surgeons, and we wanted to see over all the years of them prescribing their, meds to patients, and in some cases, we're talking about 10,000 prescriptions, on average, per physician. In some cases, it's less. There was only one case of so-called post-finasteride syndrome, and they weren't even sure if they couldn't really make it a causal connection. And there was one case of Peyronie's disease that was brought up, and then that was also brought up at a meeting, but they don't know if it was even caused by finasteride because no one else ever saw it. It could have just been coincidental. So there was a recent meeting. I think it was the FUE Institute where they have it in Cairo, right, Joe?
Monaco.
Monaco.
No, not Monaco. Yeah, maybe it was Monaco.
Yeah, and from what I understand, so
somewhere
there. They actually asked that question in an entire room of physicians from around the world, and all they wanted was a hand raise, and not one raised their hand. There wasn't a single case in practice of post-finasteride syndrome. Now, does that mean it doesn't happen? Sure, it happens. But for some reason, the odd thing is, it doesn't seem to be happening in the practices of hair transplant surgeons or hair surgeons or hair loss specialists, which is odd to me.
Yeah, what is the deal with this shit online, man? I don't want to, I'm sure some people have actually had, serious side effects.
I believe they
this
have.
shit online is fucking crazy. And then, wasn't this pill out for, 6 years for something else before it was even approved for, hair loss?
It was approved in 1992 for benign prostate hyperplasia at a 5 milligram dose. And then it was approved in December of 1997 at a 1 milligram dose for hair loss.
So stay off the internet is the moral of the fucking story, basically.
I think informed consent and people knowing that these side effects, these anomalies occur is important. I think, there's no reason that patients shouldn't know about this. The problem is, if you give a guy two potential side effects, one is potential blood clotting, and the other is you can't get your dick hard, they're not going to be thinking about the blood clotting.
Yeah.
That's just the way men are, man. And as soon as you think you can't get it up, you can't get it up. That's the way our brain-body connection works with our dicks. That's just the way that it is.
That's what I read. Yeah, that's what I'm told.
Yeah, that's
that's what we hear.
That's what we hear.
Yeah.
Okay.
But what about what are your thoughts on in terms of gains at the gym or strength? Again, I just things have been good. I don't want to screw with my head, to be honest. And
Look,
best thing you can
I'm
do
one
is,
person. I'm one human being. I don't know everybody's experience, but I just turned 59 years old, and without sounding obnoxious, you could even see through a button-down shirt that I have a good frame, and I've been able to maintain muscle mass, even though I'm thin. And I don't have hacky sack chest or any of that shit, and I don't even work out that hard. I mean, I train mostly body weight, pull-ups, push-ups, lunges. I play basketball for a long time, just basic conditioning. And I would say that if I really worked out hard, that I would still be able to gain muscle even at 60, almost 60.
Yeah, because that's very important for me, to be honest. That's.
Now, I don't know. I mean, I could have been super jacked without this shit. I don't know.
Right.
I could be walking around like Joe Rogan right now. I have no clue. It could be doing something to me, but I definitely don't think that made me soft. Yeah, no pun intended.
That podcast or what's it called? More plates, more dates, or something.
What about him?
Uh-huh.
I like that guy.
Yeah,
Derek.
Isn't that guy is jacked like crazy, and isn't he on freaking dutasteride or something, or experimenting?
Let me tell you something. This guy is just the king of, and I'm going to say bro science not in a derogatory way,
it is bro science,
but not in a derogatory way because This guy is a smart guy.
Uh-huh.
He really is. And he's willing to experiment on himself, and he has. And he's able to, read the information that's online and just, put it out there in an extremely lucid and palatable and, interesting way for people to watch and to learn from. And, we do live in a time where, look, when I was a kid, not everybody was on steroids. If some athletes were on steroids, some guys who may be in the gym, they were taking steroids, but it wasn't that common. Now every kid is taking steroids. It's rampant online. All these guys online. So I think he plays an important role in being able to guide people in a safer direction, be able to speak from a relatively authoritative point of view. I like the guy. I mean, I don't know him, but he seems like he's like a decent person, and he's good at what he does. Let's put it that way. So, yes, he talks a lot about hair loss. He's experienced it, whether it's from a combination of using gear and genetics, which it probably was, but the gear may have exacerbated things. And if you look at his hair now, if you look at his progression over the years, he was going downhill fast, brother, and now his hair looks pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he looks like he has a full head of hair, to be honest.
Dude, I saw him the first time I saw him on Rogan. I felt for the guy. I felt because he was wearing the headphones, which I would never wear, by the way. I would bring my own headset. Just saying, Joe, if you're listening. But I could see he had his hair sprayed, and no one else would notice this because I spray my hair. And I'm like, this guy spent 15 minutes getting his hair to look this way, and now it's being destroyed by this headset. But he's got to do it because you can't say no to Joe Rogan.
That's right.
And I felt for him. But I like the guy. And again, I think that he's really shown that you can. What is that noise? He's really shown that you can come from a not great place in as far as hair standing, and the hair world or the hair space. Like you really look like you're losing your hair to a point where you have a pretty full looking head of hair. I do think he may still have a little retrograde on the sides. I'm not sure. I think he's talked about that. And I don't know how well he's done on the meds with that. I haven't seen him in a long time, but it's impressive. It really is. So for you, my friend, who's considering having surgery and is on a very small dose of finasteride, there's nothing wrong with considering titrating your dosage and seeing how you do for 6 months before you actually consider going under the knife.
That's what I do.
Mm-hmm.
I would consider what I usually tell people that are afraid of side effects or haven't tried it, and they just aren't too sure about it, but they do want to at least give it a shot. I tell them to titrate up from not quite as conservative as you're going, but doing 1 milligram once a week for 4 weeks, like every Monday, and then month 2, bump it up to Mondays and Thursdays, so twice a week. And then on month 3, bump it up to Monday, Wednesday, Friday, if things are going well. And then month 4, you can consider every day. If at any point during this process you start to have some side effects, you got 2 choices. You can push through, because a lot of times side effects do go away on their own. Insert disclaimer, I'm not a doctor, but this is just through observation, over the years. Most times those side effects will dissipate with time, with 3-4 weeks, they'll go away on their own. But if you don't want to take that chance, you back off to the previous month's routine. So if it's twice a week, then it's twice a week. And that's a hell of a lot more than what you're doing now. And I think to me, that's a bare minimum. Because of the way, because of the half-life and the time it takes for it to actually affect your DHT. So I think that if you try that, you might notice that your little bit of hair loss is no longer a little bit. It'll probably be stopped. If you've done this well on twice a month for 10 years, which I've never, that blows my mind. I've never heard that.
I mean, no, the twice, the 2-3 times a month, I would say is the last 3-4 years. I've played around with different dosages, but it's pretty much been in my system for the last 7-8 years.
Well, what's the most often you took it? Like for the first several years, how often were you taking it?
I think I was taking it like every few days.
And hold on,
like,
call us who are holding on. We'll take your call in a second. I appreciate you holding on.
Sorry, I don't want to keep you guys too long. For the most part,
No. This has been a good call.
Absolutely.
No, I appreciate it. I do think that, if I were you, before I even consider having surgery, I would consider speaking to a doctor about upping your dosage or titrating your dosage to finasteride. I'll tell you, in my personal experience, I upped my dosage. In my personal experience, I upped my dosage, and this may be TMI, but I kind of feel like things are even like as crazy as it is. I may be a little more amorous. I mean, it's possible. It's because of the Russian foot massage place that opened up across the street. I don't know. but I mean, I feel really good. And I actually felt, I worked out today. I did just a back and bicep workout, all body weight essentially. And I was able to do a lot. I mean, I felt really strong on the pull-up bar. And I don't know. I'm thinking like maybe I have a little bit more free-flowing testosterone since I titrated my my finasteride. I'm not sure. I mean, I don't know if I'm growing. I don't know if I'm growing a tumor someplace either. I have no clue. But that's just the reality of taking these medications, or any medication for that matter.
So before we wrap this up, okay, I want to finish my thought on what you're doing. So you said that you were taking it every couple of days for the first several years. Did you have any side effects then?
There was actually even a point where I was taking it every day, and like, to be honest, like I don't remember having side effects. But then the funny thing is that when I went on this like weird dosage, morning wood was back, and I was like, like I think I'd rather keep it that way. So, like again, I don't know if I ever had side effects, like never any kind of issues or anything. But at the same time, like I'm a man of contradictions. I love the gym, but I was a smoker as well. When the smoking went away, like
I smoked cigarettes too, and every once in a while, if I get really loaded, which is rare, I'll bum a cigarette from somebody if I could find someone in Los Angeles that has one.
Yeah, no, I had a pretty severe problem with cigarettes, like close to like half a pack a day for many, many years. Like I'd say maybe like 10 to 15 years. And again, like, quitting the cigarettes could have had...
I'm just going to tell you, from someone who's born in 1965, half a pack a day for 10 or 15 years, it would not be considered a severe problem. That's 10 cigarettes a day. A severe problem would be you're smoking 2 packs of cigarettes a day for 10 years. You should probably get a lung scan.
Yeah. No, but the cigarettes, like they mess up your stamina. They destroy everything. Like I run, I work out, and
including your life.
Including your life, literally every organ in your body. Yeah,
it's literally the stupidest thing you can possibly do to yourself. And as someone again who was born in 1965, even though the general surgeon talked about it, by the time I was able to watch television, they were actually still doing cigarette ads. Both my parents smoked. It was a rite of passage. I had my first cigarette at the age of 8.
I had my first one when I was like 12, 13. Yeah. But when that beer kicks in, man, it's hard. It's so hard.
I didn't have my first beer till I was 9, but still.
I won't keep you guys for long. Like you've answered all of my questions. I'm sure you have other callers on the line. I really appreciate you guys.
We really do.
I appreciate you guys, and maybe I'll give you guys a call back sometimes just to update you, and keep up the good work, and appreciate the show, and appreciate both of you.
Well, we appreciate you too, brother.
No worries,
good luck
buddy.
with everything.
Thanks for calling.
And do not jump into surgery. Take care.
All right. Take care, guys.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
See ya.
Phone number is 888-659-3727. Let's see who this is. Hey, you're on the air. Who's this, and where are you calling from?
This is James from the Bay Area, Silicon Valley.
James, what's happening?
Hello, James.
Been listening to you guys for 15 years, maybe more.
Oh, Jesus.
Wow.
Been holding off on the transplant. Born in '67, close to Spencer's age.
Wow.
Haven't gone as far as shaving my head. See how that looks before I plunge on going from a Norwood 3 to maybe a Norwood 1.5 to 2. Got plenty of donor area.
Your phone's breaking up a little bit.
Well, let me get close to the router.
All right.
Is that better?
It's okay. Let's see. Keep going. Let's see what we get.
So my question is, I've been on finasteride for probably 20 years. Went off of finasteride, name brand. I don't screw around with the generics. And went off probably 2009. Went to Avodart, name brand. Little bit of side effects on that. Not too bad. Went off of the finasteride with about a 2-year break. Lost a little bit of ground, not too much. Was a little surprised that stopping the Avodart lasted as long as it did, and then I realized just doing research and listening to you gentlemen that it stays in your system quite a while.
Yeah.
But the side effects were very minor. Less volume, of course. A little bit of not as vital, not as hard as normal. And maybe it was in my head, but went off of it back on finasteride. But I've noticed that name brand finasteride has been purchased by, I guess, Organon. Are you familiar with?
Yeah,
the
I mean,
name brand?
basically, yeah.
Organon, yeah.
Yeah, basically, it's kind of an offshoot.
Organon.
It's basically an offshoot of Merck.
So I'm getting shedding on for the last probably 3 to 6 months, which I've never seen before. Now the hairs that are shedding are, they're pretty long, right? So I don't know if it's the summertime or if it's seasonal shedding. Usually that people say that starts in September. I don't know if I'm early, but what's your take on the question is when does even name brand finasteride stop working where you start getting sheds? And I just did my blood work because I was freaking out, and my DHT came in at 12 before I went on back onto finasteride, it was 45. I did a baseline,
right,
which was 2 years after stopping dutasteride. Right. Blew it by even stopping Avodart, but felt pretty good when I was off of it, and then finasteride didn't affect me at all.
So,
but the shedding is just
when did you notice?
A little concerning.
Yeah. Okay. So Merck is. This. What's the name of the company again, Joe? Oregon? Yeah, Organon.
Organon.
Organon. Organon sold. It's supposedly a subsidiary of Merck.
It is.
And the bottle says made in Italy.
It's a new company spinoff.
Like finasteride made in Italy.
So your finasteride is made. That's interesting. So actually, mine is. I think it's still made in New Jersey. My Proscar.
Are you getting it from Treated?
No. I'm getting it from the same company you're getting it from. Okay.
So my question is, I called the pharmacy and said, hey, did I get a bad batch? I mean, this is not normal, right? And if my DHT is at 13, right, that's obviously my serum DHT. I don't know how to measure my scalp DHT, but a little concerned about, name brand not keeping up with its reputation.
Yeah, I don't honestly, I have not heard of this, and I've not had that experience myself. I've been using, when did they switch over, Joe? 2 years ago? Something like that?
Even
3 years ago?
Joe, I think even longer when I did the research.
Yeah. So
maybe, yeah, I don't know exactly when.
Yeah, so I mean, it's been manufactured, and at least Proscar is being manufactured.
You're on 5 milligrams cut in 4. You're doing 1.25.
No.
I don't know if I missed. I hear you earlier that you titrated up?
Yeah, I don't do that. I take a full 5 milligram dose. So I take a 5 milligram dose every third day.
Every third day.
Yeah.
Of name brand Proscar from Organon.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know, guys.
I mean, it's very
concerned.
possible that has nothing to do with the drug itself. You know, I mean, I know it sucks and it's strange, but you could be going through telogen effluvium for just various reasons in your life. Like, what else has changed in your life?
Nothing really, sleep. I mean, sleep patterns. I mean, I lost a pet of 18 and a half years, so that was a little stressful.
Sorry to hear that.
But yeah, thank you. It's been almost a year, so that was really the only thing that was like, everything else is going fine. Semi-retired and living in a beautiful area, and nothing's overly stressful.
You married?
So I did the hair pull test, and it's the top of the hair. It's not in the back or anything. It's not in the sides, the back.
Okay.
I'm 6 foot, 185, 190 pounds. Work out every day, and I just never have seen. I'll brush my hair back, and then I'll dust off my shoulders, and I'll see probably 30, 40 in the sink.
But you're saying it's only happened the last 3 months.
Exactly.
Yeah. So you've been using the brand name since you got off of
Never went off a
Dutasteride.
brand name. Never went off a brand name.
Yeah.
Even when I was on Avodart.
Yeah, I don't know what to make of it. It's frustrating.
Even if I take the plunge to get to get a hair transplant, I don't want to be losing ground, after that.
Right. It's because you're
maybe my body's acclimated 20 years on finasteride. I mean, come on, that's as long as Spencer, I think, right?
I've been on it for 30.
Yeah, I mean,
put them back in your pants, boys. It's not a
shedding?
contest.
How about
let me ask you this,
seasonal shedding,
James?
Yeah, go ahead.
James, so just to recap, after you got off of Dutasteride, you were hair loss medication free for 2 years, and then you jumped back on finasteride Organon 3 months ago, and you've been having shedding. Is that enough? Is it?
Oh no.
Explanation?
I went off of Avodart in 2012, back on in around 2015 finasteride, and then been on finasteride since 2015 to now, and just started seeing more shedding.
And okay, so three or 4 months ago, months ago is when you switched to Organon.
I took a 2 to 3 year break.
Sorry. So, what did I hear? 3 to 4 months. You said you're doing something for 3 or 4 months.
The last 3 to 4 months. Yeah, shedding for the last 3 to 4 months, and then I did some research on name brand, and I didn't realize this Organon company bought, is an offshoot of Merck. Right. I don't know if they bought their recipe. I don't know. They did the same with ProStar.
It's a spinoff. It's a spinoff. There's no company coming into buying it. It was Merck saying let's create a spinoff company to take care of specific types of medications that are under our current brand name. So they create a new company. It's not just finasteride. It's several other medications that they manufacture, and so you've only been noticing. You've been taking it since 2015. You only noticed it the shed's only been going on for the past 3 months. So
exactly
what that tells me is it's not the medication, unless you were getting it out of one location because Spencer's getting his out of New Jersey. You're getting yours. It's being shipped out of Italy. Maybe that's it, but that's kind of a stretch. If Spencer looks on his label, it's going to say finasteride made in Italy for the United States, and then it's bottled in New Jersey. Right? You can look up the label you can look up the label online right now. You'll see it says New Jersey and Italy. Okay, now Spencer's going to check. Okay,
pull up Propecia, 1 milligram Propecia, and you'll see that label. It'll say New Jersey, and it says Italy. Finasteride made in Italy for the U.S. So I'm thinking maybe quality control in Italy. I don't know.
Let's see what we got here.
Surprised it's not in his pocket. Spencer's looking it up.
Let's see. Finasteride. Blah, blah,
I got a Propecia Pez dispenser.
I like that.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, he needs his glasses. See, here's the thing.
I mean, who's doing their? I mean, who's doing their quality control, right? I mean, maybe there is it possible that they change their ingredients, the byproduct?
I doubt it.
Yeah, I doubt it. But here's the thing: if it's made in Italy, I don't know if they own their own facility in Italy.
That's right.
They're farming
made
out
made in Italy, formulated in the USA. Right, you are, brother. I'm getting fucking Italian finasteride.
Well, I'm Italian, so
God,
I figured, hey, since I'm full-blooded Italian, it should be good.
You just fucked me up now, man.
Let's see.
I'm all fucked up.
Vince in the chat room says he's noticing a change.
Am I what?
Are you concerned now? Why are you fucked up?
Yeah, you totally put that in my head now. I'm going to be bald and impotent.
No, you're doing fine. I've been watching you for years. You're doing great. I don't know what concealers you're using, but you haven't even aged. So,
I don't use any concealers on my face, not yet.
Well, I think somebody said finasteride and dutasteride actually kind of slow down the aging process. So,
it's possible. I mean, I brought that up.
Yeah.
I brought that up to the father of biohacking, Dave Asprey, and he's like, "Yeah, I can't see that. That doesn't seem to be the case." And I'm like, "Well, if it stops the aging process of hair,
anybody that I know that's been on 15, 20 years has aged pretty good in the face."
Yeah.
So,
yeah,
that's a fact.
That's pretty amazing.
Well,
actually.
thank you.
Yeah.
No, you guys look great.
Well,
really appreciate.
I don't know what to tell you.
I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say. I would say it would be unlikely for them to change anything in the formulation since they spent the money to patent the formulation and test it, and they still want people to buy their brand name.
Well, no, I do pay more, but my question is it possible to get a bad batch? Is it possible? Has anybody else complained about all of a sudden shedding on name brand?
No, not to us.
And maybe I'm just freaking out. Maybe I'm just freaking out and overthinking it. Maybe this is a seasonal shed. I'm just being a little bit more.
It could be, and seasonal sheds are not so seasonal. It's just a time in your life where the synchronization of your hair cycles is different than other times of the year or the past couple of years. So I think it's just a coincidence.
And I am relieved that it doesn't say made in China and packaged in the USA, at least.
Exactly.
So.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree.
So I would stay the course. Get your continue to monitor your levels just to see if there's any changes. But also check other.
I just did all my blood. Is there any other blood work that would give you guys an indication that maybe there might be an issue? I mean, I got everything done, right? So, DHT, estradiol, estrogen. I mean,
iron, thyroid.
Thyroid.
Thyroid. That was all. Yeah, thyroid's fine.
Okay.
Everything came back.
Iron levels
really
are good.
Well, and then
okay.
and 12 on the DHT is quite low, right, guys? 12,
yes.
13.
Now, so now I'm thinking, like, is my retrograde happening because I'm getting fucking Italian finasteride?
he can't focus on the call now, James. He's running too much in his head.
I'm glad I can offer a little bit of information that you guys didn't know. I'm going to take that as a compliment.
I'm glad I can send Spencer into a paranoid spiral.
I mean, pre-pandemic, I didn't notice any retrograde, and all of a sudden I'm like, what the fuck is this? My hair was so thick at the nape. Now it's all wispy. What's going on? It's the fucking Italian finasteride.
So
Go ahead.
I also went into the doctor, and he was a dermatologist that works for Sutter now. He doesn't have his own practice. He tried to do hair transplants with another partner, didn't work out. Long story short, he says, "Oh, you got to get on 1.25 of oral minoxidil." I tried minoxidil a long time ago, and I don't think my sulfate converts correctly. I didn't do that test that they do, where you take a test and pull your hair and see if you're a candidate for topical minoxidil. Topical gave me a headache. Oral 1.25 scares the shit out of me. I do have family members that get that pericardial disease or some shit, and not to add another stack over and above finasteride and a laser helmet. It's a little concerning to pop that pill where there could be issues with somebody my age. Even though I'm in great shape, I don't want to jeopardize that either. Are you?
Yeah, we're all in great shape.
Are you a fan of oral minoxidil? Are you guys a fan of oral?
I know that Joe's a fan of oral. You're a fan of oral, aren't you, Joe?
I missed something. I missed something in the conversation.
Yeah.
Well, doctor prescribed oral. I'm just the risk.
His
factor,
doctor prescribed oral for him, Joe.
And not a.
So you're
not
taking
a
the tablets.
Not a doctor. Yeah, he wants me to.
Dude,
take
I'm fucking with you. I'm making an oral sex joke that for some reason is going over your head. But if you ask him if I'm a fan of oral minoxidil, I got to tell you,
he just turned 59, folks.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll be 57 in July. I'm right there with him. So
Listen, am I a fan? All I can tell you is I know that it seems to be working for a decent amount of people. But there was a study that just came out that Dr. Jeff Donovan really, if you go to AmericanHairLoss.org, you go to the article section, you can see. Yeah, you can see a breakdown of an article that was published on the differential between minoxidil, topical, and oral. And there doesn't seem to be that much of, at least according to this particular study, Dr. Donovan really explains it well in his video. It doesn't seem to be that much of a difference as far as growth, hair growth, or the cessation of hair loss. However, from oral to topical, I don't know if I've seen that in the wild. I've seen guys who've gotten on oral minoxidil and all of a sudden they grew back a shitload of hair, where I've never actually seen that with topical. So go to the American Hair Loss Association.
Maybe they're missing that. Maybe they're missing that conversion. That gets, because Joe, it gets converted, right? You've talked about this. The conversion in the liver.
Right. You're talking about the enzyme.
Sulfate.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
And it does not happen on a large majority of people on topical, correct?
It's a pretty significant majority of people, but so that may be why oral seems to be more effective. So you're right about that. But I would also be concerned about taking oral minoxidil at my stage in life.
That's what I thought.
I mean, I do keep it in. I keep it in my back pocket in case I really want to do it. I'm glad it's there. And
so oral's not going to stop the root cause, the DHT, like finasteride. It's just a stimulant, right? It's not like you're going to grow more hair being on oral.
No. It is a hair growth stimulant, and it's a vasodilator, and you will grow if it's effective for you more hair. You're not growing more hair. It's not creating more hair follicles.
You're not adding follicles. You're just stimulating existing follicles that have been miniaturized by DHT.
Yeah, you can't. The only way to add new follicles into a particular part of the scalp is to just replace it with just move follicles from the back of your head to the front of your head through surgery. At this stage, we cannot create new follicles.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
Now, okay, I appreciate your feedback on oral. Still a little hesitant, like you, Spencer. Hopefully,
Well, I for one love oral.
Point where,
but I, for one, love oral.
But you wouldn't take it for yourself.
He's such,
Yeah, I get
he's
it.
such a teenager.
I get it. Okay, so I do follow your list of doctors, both of you guys, right? You have the list of doctors. I noticed my cousin got a hair transplant a year ago by Sarah Wasserbauer here in the Bay Area.
Okay.
I noticed she's not on, and we're very close. He's a stylist, and I get my hair done, where he lives once a month, and he seems like he's doing okay. He's actually losing a little ground because he went off of oral and he's on finasteride for the first time. He's never taken it, and he's 60 years old. She did a decent job, and as you guys have discussed before, when her name came up maybe about a year ago, you said she's kind of conservative, but I noticed she's not on your list anymore. Is there a reason for that?
Yeah.
Or can you even comment?
I can comment. She was part of the IHS for, I don't know, I think originally when she was working with Bill Rassman out here at NHI, we brought her on board, and then she was on board independently for I don't know how many years. And I don't know if this is true or not, but things kind of got very political. She became a, part of one of the grand poobahs of the American Board of Hair Restoration Surgery, and she was really involved with the ISHRS. And we kind of separated for reasons that I kind of felt were not necessarily, let's just put it this way. I try to stay out of the fray of politics. And when these organizations kind of look at what I do as kind of competitive to what they do, and then there's all of a sudden there's a person who's part of that my organization who's now becoming a bigger part of another organization, it makes it uncomfortable for them to be part of what we do. Does that make sense?
So it's not indicative of her work.
Absolutely not. And I think that if you've ever heard me speak about that, 100% not. There are people who I think are pricks who I would never work with again, who I kicked off the organization, who still do good work. And I'll say it if people ask me about it.
Yeah, she does okay work in my opinion. I'm
it's very conservative in my view.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. And when he went to her, she was on your list, and I felt comfortable for him to see her. And it looked like things worked out, and she did a strip on him. She's more of a fan of strip than FUE, to be honest with you. But that's not a bad thing when you're 60 years old, right? So.
No, and it's also something that she's comfortable with, and she has the infrastructure to do it, and that's just kind of the practice of medicine. And she is, while she's not old, she's a little old school.
She's old school. She is absolutely. She's doing this cloning. Were you familiar with that when she was on your list?
Yeah, you mean not? She's not doing cloning. She's doing
she's like
hair banking,
stem cells or something. No, she's banking. She's doing like stem cell banking or something. Are you guys heard of that?
Yeah. Everyone's starting to kind of jump on that bandwagon.
What's that all about?
Well, the thought process is that the younger you want to kind of bank your stem cells when you're younger, because the younger the stem cells, if they can eventually get to the point where they can recreate or regenerate new hair follicles from stem cells, then the younger the stem cells, the better the hair is going to be. That currently is theoretical, and I kind of think that the whole hair banking thing, in my view, is just a big money grab.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I'm glad you said it. I'm glad you said it. So,
to me, if you're going to if you're 60 years old and you're willing to transplant the hair of a 60-year-old man, why wouldn't you be willing? If it came to if you can actually replicate or clone hair, why wouldn't you feel comfortable cloning the hair of a 60-year-old man? What's the difference? It's kind of just you're creating more hair for transplantation. So it's possible. It's true that the younger stem cells may create hair that will cycle for longer, but you're also, closer to death. What's the difference?
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
No, it's so true, so true. So looking at if I did take the plunge, and obviously taking your advice, I totally agree with do the head shave before you do anything. Who knows, you'll never know if you might like it, right? So
100%.
sparing no expense, best of the best. Out here in California, I've been following this Dr. Verona guy. Somebody posted a repair work with somebody with big arms, and I just assumed it was him. I don't know if you guys saw that post on Instagram.
Yeah, he's got huge arms. His arms is essentially the size. They're like the size of my thighs.
Who could that be, right? So
Yeah.
I don't know, but
That's him. Yeah.
in California, is there a surgeon that is just above average? I don't care what it costs. I don't care if it's $100,000. You know what I'm saying? For 3,000 grafts, that's not the issue. But best of the best.
I'm going to give you a little advice,
expense.
my man. Don't tell these doctors that.
I wouldn't.
Yeah.
I'm not telling them. Look, if the guy's good
Money is
enough,
no
I'll
expense.
shut
Am I a
his-
candidate?
Yeah.
I'll shut his place down for the day or two. I don't care. The money's not the issue. It's the skill of the surgeon, right? I mean, this is a serious step. I've been dealing with this for 25, 30 years, and I've held off this long, right? So,
Let's put it this way. You have a lot of good options in Southern California. You're in Northern California. You have a lot of good options in Southern California for sure. And, I mean, you mentioned Chris Verona. He's really good at what he does. He does the entire surgery himself. There's other doctors here as well.
There's another guy I looked up that's kind of small, Modena. Is it Modena, Joe? Is that the guy's name? I don't know if that was your list or not.
Oh, Yazdan. Dr. Yazdan. Yeah. Great guy. Does really good work in my opinion. Very. He's a little more conservative and will do more strips. So you have to kind of just figure out what you think is best. But I don't think you should jump. I don't think you should jump on the surgery bandwagon at this point. Anyway, and I think that the shed is coincidental. I mean, you've been taking this brand of finasteride for at least 3 years. Oh. And you have this particular brand of the once they transferred over to this new company. So you've been taking Italian finasteride for at least 3 years, right? Maybe longer.
And now if I want to switch to last resort Avador, that comes from the same company.
Yeah.
ProScar comes from the same company, right? So, or no, not ProScar, Avador, yeah. So due to steroids. So I guess the last line of defense before an HT would be to try Avador again. But if it's going to have the same quality control issues as this particular finasteride, in my opinion, I don't know.
You don't know. I mean,
this company, Organon.
But here's the thing: you don't know why you're going
them,
through it. You don't know why you're going through a shed.
Right.
I mean, is it possible that you got a bad batch? I guess it's possible, but you've also been taking this particular brand of ProScar from this particular company that's being manufactured in Italy for several, at least 3 or 4 years. And you're just going through the shed for the last 3 months.
Yeah.
So it doesn't necessarily mean that
it could be. I could be just micromanaging my shed, and in summertime, and I'm getting seasonal shedding maybe early. I
gotta tell you, the whole hair loss thing it sucks, brother. Trust me, I know. When I hear it in your voice, I hear it in your voice, and then I start thinking about it. I'm reading the label, like I'm taking Italian finasteride. Now I got that in my mind. The whole thing. I just want to. I honestly, there are times, and I'm growing my beard out, see how it looks. Maybe you'll see me. I'll come on camera, and I'll have a shaved head, and I'll be like, "Good night, people, and good luck."
No, you guys have been a comfort blanket for many years. I just want to let you both know I appreciate it. And this hair loss thing it's a mind fuck. Even though I'm grateful for what I have, but I'm sure anybody listening realizes it as well, but it's a pain in the ass. But there are options, and if we didn't have advocates like you, it would be that much worse. So I just want to thank you for that.
I appreciate you saying that.
Thank you.
I wish you the
That's
best
very
of luck.
kind of you.
And just, you know what, just try to chill with the shed. I will say that I felt that I went through some degree of shedding a few years ago. Maybe it's when I switched to the Italian.
Sure.
I don't know. But I don't think so. But I think there's a good chance. Just keep taking your meds. You've been on for a long time. You could even titrate them if you wanted to, and talk to your doctor about that. I don't know if I would jump back on dutasteride. And frankly, if you're going to get on any medication or try something new and make a switch that can cause you to have another shed, as concerned as you are about using oral minoxidil, which is a real concern, it should be for anybody, there are people who are getting really good results with it as well. So, I mean, you might want to talk to your doctor more about it.
Yeah. Well, I'm close to Stanford, and there's a dermatologist there that I looked up. It's pretty good, but
we all think all these doctors.
Always love to hear. Always love to hear you guys' recommendation on anybody in California that is considered a 12 out of 10, right? So, I'll be watching your
there's
shows
also
and keep my ears open.
Don't forget, James, about Dr. Boehner as well, who's also in L.A.
Benham?
Oh, Boehner's in
Benham.
LA?
Banner. What did I say? Boehner. Benham.
I have no idea, but dude, it's happening. I'm telling you.
Oh, I know, because I was thinking the former Speaker of the House. No, it's Sean Boehner in L.A. He's actually phenomenal.
Yes, true. Very
and
true.
Dr. Hughes, Dr. Hughes also
is he
at
somebody,
Alvi Armani.
Is he somebody that you evaluated? Is he somebody you evaluated on some? Yeah, okay.
And you said you follow my website. Yeah, he's been on there for a couple months.
I follow both of you guys, but I do like when you do the zoom in on your big screen. I think it's phenomenal where you kind of go through everybody's work. But I do think I remember you evaluating this guy's work.
Yeah, I went through him, and I've also got there's also Dr. Hughes, who's with the Alvi Armani Clinic, and I'm actually about to release a new video showing some of his work. So he's one to also consider.
I was following Alvi Armani years ago, and the founder passed away. I think that's been over 10 years, right?
It's funny. I mean, that place has no luck with their docs, man. Their founder passed away. The second guy who took over the practice, young guy, Dr. Bobak, dead.
Yep.
That's right.
I told Mike he might want to get a new place.
You got Boehner, and who's the Alvi Armani guy? Boehner, and then Hughes?
Hughes.
Yeah. Mike Hughes. He's a really nice guy, too. I mean, besides being good at what he does, he's like a genuine, and he's also an actual surgeon.
Oh, I like that.
I mean,
these are great recommendations.
Yeah,
great recommendations. And Spence, I think you're right. I think oral might be worth exploring. It's interesting that you say that it's worth exploring before jumping back onto dutasteride. But I think I'd have to agree with you.
Well, I think that's that would be probably my first. I think, I'm not a fan of lowering and getting rid of basically all of your DHT, even at our age.
No, I agree.
I know. I think that, part of the reason why I'm not fucked up, and I thought about it years ago when everyone was jumping on dutasteride right away as soon as it came out. So like, you know what? I'm only blocking maybe 70% of my DHT. Maybe that 30% is going to do me some good in my younger years. I want to keep that around. And
if I went from 45 to 13, percentage-wise, if you got a DHT level of 13 in your serum, what is that? Is that reducing your? That's about on par with what it should be, right? About 70%.
I can't give you a
About right.
percent. But I can't really say it's about right. 'Cause I can't tell you exactly what the percentage
Do
is, and
you
everybody's
monitor your
different.
DHT levels?
I don't. I don't. I mean, I do. I'll get it tested, every few years. Like I'll get my PSA and my DHT and shit like that. But I don't monitor it heavily.
Is it fair to say if I'm at 13 from 45, it's fair to say that my Italian finasteride probably is working, right?
It's fair to say that's working actually well.
Yeah.
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 Okay.
So
Yeah, and I agree. Dutasteride would take me below probably, it would take that 13 probably below 7, which is concerning. Right? I agree with you.
well,
Having a little bit is okay.
that's how I feel about it. I look at it as a real last resort. I mean, it basically turned Joe into a woman for a short period of time. He was looking like Miss Doubtfire.
So Joe, your stack your stack is dutasteride and oral finasteride. I mean oral minoxidil.
No, I don't take any minoxidil. I just take finasteride. That's it.
Oh, good. Okay, it's good to know.
Yeah,
All right, brother.
I've been
Well, you guys
on
look great.
the
You're aging
fence
well.
about oral minoxidil, but just finasteride so far.
Hey, why are you on the
Okay.
fence with oral? Why are you on the fence with oral minoxidil?
Minoxidil
Same
because
concern about that, right?
I'm but I'm getting closer and closer to pulling the trigger to trying it out.
And
So
Topical
we'll see.
Never worked for you at one point. Were you ever on Topical?
For like maybe 6 weeks in the late 1990s when I didn't know any better and I read about side effects. I was like, nope, not touching it anymore, and I never did. And I know so much more about it now, but it's never been of any interest to me because throughout my career I've never seen anyone that can show me, oh my God, wow results with Topical. Not that I'm looking for that for myself, but and I take that back, maybe one or two, but oral minoxidil is so much better across the board based on my observations. So anyway, not
All right,
taking
brother.
it yet, but
we're
maybe in the future.
We're going to take another call before the end of the show. So thank you for the
I'll
call.
let
I
you
wish
guys
you the best
go.
of luck.
I appreciate you answering my questions.
And I wouldn't be
once again,
surprised if
keep
you
it-
saw a cessation of your shedding.
Yeah.
I think the Italians
Just push through.
They can make good.
Yeah.
They make good drugs.
I'll push through, guys.
All right.
And once again, keep it up.
All
Thank
right.
you so much.
Take care.
We'll talk to you soon.
All right. Thanks.
Yeah.
Bye bye.
That's
So
what she
now
said.
he had to tell me about the Italian finasteride. I thought this was still being made
I
in
know,
New
man.
Jersey. Jesus.
I know.
I have this urge to start making pizzas.
I have an urge to start eating pizzas.
Jesus. Let's see who this is. Hey, you're on the air. Who's this and where are you calling from?
Hey, hi. This is Adi. I guess able to hear me?
Say that again?
Are you able to hear me?
Yes, we could hear you.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
What's your
Hey,
name?
hi. Hey, Adi, I used to call I called like a couple of times.
Okay. From where?
From Virginia.
Okay. What's happening, man?
Okay.
Yeah, so I got my hair transplant done by Dr. Pradeep Sethi, Eugenics. It was great experience with respect to. I just wanted to share my experience.
Sure.
It was a great experience with respect to the team. They have really wonderful team. Although on the day I went at like 7 a.m. and they were like, they saw me. Dr. Sethi was extremely busy that day for some reason, and he saw me at like around 3 p.m. I went at 7 a.m. But that's the only thing. And
Now, were you scheduled to have surgery with Dr. Sethi or another doctor?
No, with Dr. Sethi.
So you were scheduled to have surgery with Dr. Sethi, and the surgery was being performed the entire time without you seeing him?
No. I was scheduled at 7 a.m. Like, I was scheduled to see them for planning at 7 a.m.
Okay.
And I was seen around like 2:30, 3 p.m.
I see. Okay.
Yeah. That's. I was disappointed because I.
You're breaking up, brother. So to get this straight, so this was on surgery day? You had to wait around?
Hello?
You're breaking up, brother. Let's
And
take
he's
this
gone.
call. Hey, you're on the air. Who's this and where are you calling from?
Milan, and I'm calling from Toronto, Canada.
Hey, what's happening, brother?
What's up, Milan?
Not too much. How are you guys? Happy Friday.
Happy
Good, buddy.
Friday.
Happy Friday.
So,
going
not too much, man. It's my first time calling in. I've listened to you guys for about a year, so I'm a little nervous here, but I'll break it down for
all
you.
good.
Not as nervous as
30
me.
We'll be gentle.
33 years old, male, obviously, and started noticing some thinning about a year and a half ago.
Dude,
By the way,
we're in Canada. It's never obvious.
Yeah, it's not that obvious anymore.
I can't even assume.
It's that obvious, eh?
Just had to say that.
That's it, boys. So, yeah.
All right,
yeah,
go ahead.
boys,
Sorry about that.
No worries. Yeah, so been dealing with a bit of thinning out for the last year and a half. I went to the dermatologist last April and was prescribed minoxidil and finasteride. And due to some things in the past, I didn't want to take some oral finasteride, so I went to a compounding clinic and I got like the dual version, topical finasteride and minoxidil. And to be honest, boys, I don't really think it's holding up too well. I still seem to be shedding quite a bit of hair, hairs every day. And
Yep.
I had a consultation with a clinic out in Toronto, Rahal, and they were really good. They did the consultation and they were like, you know what, Kevin, I think you're not ready for one yet. If we were to do a hair transplant, you'd have a lot of shock loss. So I was really pumped with that because I had a consultation with a turkey clinic and there was quite the opposite, I should say.
Oh, sure.
Wanted me to come over and I needed 4,000 grafts, this and that. So it was a refreshing because
Dude, these kids
I did my research on your website and it was just like you guys said. They were upfront and honest and.
I'm really glad you had that experience. You're able to share that because these kids, man, I could speak to them blue in the face. They do not believe. I mean, they're being destroyed. Their lives are being fucking destroyed. They're going there. They're getting 4,000 or 5,000 grafts. Even if they don't get shock loss, they have no idea that in a couple of years they're going to be left with nothing but scars and their dick in their hand.
Yeah. And the scary thing is that probably could have been a good chance of me because, for 3 or 4 months, I was kind of like hyped on the idea. I'm like, I thought that was the, just from the internet, I was like, this Turkey's the place to go, right?
Yeah.
And then,
Of course.
I don't even know how I came across your guys' content, but it was like last June or July. And, then I found out about the IHRS, and I started like digging into that. And then, called around to Rahal because they were like the only ones in my area. So it was really, really refreshing. I had some faith after that when he actually was like, you know what, Kevin, do not, don't proceed. Maybe in another year, come back and we'll see where you're at. But right now, you don't need one. So it was. I got to thank you boys for that. That was really. I appreciate everything you guys do in terms of that.
Oh, that's great. That's great, and I appreciate you saying that, and I'm glad that you were able to get help. But right now, you're in a position where you're still losing hair.
Yeah. So I got a question for you guys. That's actually the main reason why I'm calling in. I know that you guys say that not all PRP is equal, and along those lines. But I'm wondering, like, what are your thoughts on it? If you can find a clinic that, that has good results or whatever, is it still something worth looking into for someone in my stages right now? Or what are you guys' thoughts on that?
I have a question for you. You said you decided not to take finasteride based on something that happened in your prior years.
Yeah. So honestly, I've had a tough time getting up a little while back in the day. I don't know if that was something like a side effect of something else. I don't have that issue anymore.
Yeah.
But it has lingered in the past.
Now,
and
did you
so
feel?
it just kind of made me.
Do you feel that it was a psychological, like a performance anxiety type of thing, or were you taking medication?
Yeah. To be honest with you, it was around COVID when COVID first happened, and I had never had an issue up until that time, and then met up with a girl, and for whatever reason, it just didn't want to work that day, and I'm like, what the hell is going on, boys? And it got in my head, and since then it's everything performs fine and whatnot, but it just for some reason made me hesitant to try it.
I understand. Here's the thing, and this is something that you're young, but once it happens, it gets in your head. It could always happen again because it's in your head. But if you're waking up, you can always test it. If you have erections at night, or if you're able to do it yourself, a little DIY situation, then you probably don't have any real issue. And any issues that you would have when you're with a person is it's in your head. That's a really significant thing. Performance anxiety is very real for men. So what a lot of guys do, they get on this pill and they're already dealing with performance anxiety, or they're concerned that, wait a second, that's a possible side effect. I don't want to touch it. So I understand that. The problem is, based on that one experience, you're not really giving yourself, and I think most doctors, and we're not doctors, would say this, you're not really giving yourself a fighting chance to stop the progression of your hair loss. Topicals are great to some degree. They can work for some people. But I am certainly, just to be honest, I mean, you will never get the results that you would if you took an oral medication.
Right.
That's just the
I
reality.
haven't completely crossed it off. I consulted with my pharmacist. I was actually less than a month ago, and I was asking them, if they can get name brand Propecia and this and that, because that's something I'd like to. If I am to make the jump, I definitely want to get on that instead of like a generic.
Yeah.
And it is available in Canada, from what I was told. So I haven't completely ruled out that possibility yet, but I was kind of interested in maybe hearing your thoughts on like PRP or whatever, if that's
well, here's the thing. Not all PRP is created equal, and a lot of people, depending on where you go, it can range from, and it's going to be more expensive in Canada, but it could range from $750 to $1,500 or more per session.
Yeah.
So you're going to be spending. You say you give it a shot. You give it a shot 3 times, right?
Yeah.
So what are you spending? $5,000. I'm not saying that it's not worth it if it works. If it works, then it's absolutely worth it. But we just don't know, and each PRP treatment is going to be slightly different. And in each facility, it's going to be slightly different. When you take medication, in general, especially if you're getting brand name, it's all the same.
Right.
So, can it work? There are people who do really well with PRP. There are people who have been able to maintain their hair for years using PRP. And then there are those who have moderate results, but most physicians will say that you should probably do a combination therapy, and they'll throw PRP in there while you're on the medications, and you don't know what the fuck is going on.
Right.
Yeah.
So, in about a month, I actually have a consultation with another Toronto clinic that offers PRP. I don't believe Rahal offered it, but it says the on their website or whatever, and he was very upfront with it. He said not all PRP is created equally. He said it states that, and they use the Regen Lab system. I don't know if that's familiar with you guys, or if it's a decent one or what. But that's the program they use. And
it also comes down to it also comes down to who's preparing the PRP. It is user dependent as well. So these are things that you're just not going to be taught. You're not going to be told.
So it's kind of like a dice roll in a way. You never really know until you do it, eh?
And you also don't know, what your platelet count is in most cases before it's being turned into PRP. And every time you get your blood drawn, your platelets are going to be slightly different. So if your concentrations are a little off that day or a little low that day, do they have the ability to recognize that and then make the proper adjustments when they're preparing the PRP. So there's a lot of nuances to PRP, and there's still a lot of questions out there. I think listen, if you're unwilling to take finasteride and you have the money, then it's worth a shot.
Okay.
But for the average guy, where that can cost them, that could be a lot of money for them. I would always tell them, look, it's kind of like, it really is you got a 50-50 chance, maybe less, of it really getting you to where you want it to get you.
And now say it does work. Guys. How long have you seen those results? Like, if you keep up with your maintenance and whatnot, how long have you seen that work for? Is it still only like a year, like a couple year thing?
I know one woman that it worked for well over a decade, and then it no longer worked.
Okay. So maybe I guess you never really know, right? But it could be a couple years, could be 10.
It could be a year, it could be 10, or it could be 0.
Right.
Yeah. Look, when we say and you've been told or you've read that not all PRP is the same. My take on that is not only is not all PRP not the same, most of it is shit. It really is. Like it's like if it wasn't, you would see a lot more people, talking, saying great things about PRP. Now, I think one of the things that you need to do when you're researching PRP is if you find, different places that you're interested in having PRP with, contact them and ask what kind of machine they're using, because they're all different.
Okay.
And like in the case you're talking about the Regen Labs, I'm pretty sure that's a closed system, and that's what you want. Now, what is a closed system? Well, a closed system with PRP is the system, the centrifuge that we have for the blood to spin it up to separate the blood cells from the plasma, so on and so forth. So closed means that once that is spun up and separated and then put into the syringe to inject into your scalp, it is never touched by oxygen. It is always in a vacuum-sealed environment, keeping all the air out. Okay? Because once that material is exposed to oxygen, to atmosphere, it's ruined.
Okay.
That's a big deal. And also, the over 50% of the PRP that's being performed in North America, I'm not going to name the brands, but they're not even using sterile test tubes.
Okay.
So there's one particular type of PRP that really overtook the entire industry, the entire med spa industry, and cosmetic surgery guys, facial plastic guys, and plastic surgery guys that are doing PRP in the back rooms, and they're not even using gear that has sterile test tubes. So you really have to kind of understand at least those steps. And what Joe described was actually very perfectly described, very lucid, by the way. Most people don't describe it that way. Yeah, I mean, there's a large percentage of PRP that's also being, like Joe said, it's being open to the atmosphere, so it automatically becomes oxidized.
Which obviously isn't ideal.
No, it's not ideal. It's not ideal, but the fact that there are doctors who are willing to do that and just buy these systems because they don't know any better, it's amazing to me. It really is.
Yeah, it's just like money down the drain, right?
It's money down the drain. I don't even understand why doctors would want it, because their patients aren't going to get good results. So they're in the long run, they're going to make bigger hits if their patients are doing well. So spend the extra money, do your research, buy the right equipment, and try to do your best for your patients, because you're going to have more patients coming in, and you're going to also have patients who are going to be with you, continuing to get their PRP treatments year after year. But a lot of doctors don't think that way.
No, just a quick buck might change your mind, eh? Instead of getting the proper stuff and word of mouth, keep them coming back. Good results.
Dude, this industry it's just so fucked up. But I'm glad that you found us, and that you found you went to a reputable surgeon and clinic who turned you away. That's huge.
Yeah.
That's I couldn't believe it, man. I wasn't too sure, because when I contacted them, it was about maybe a couple of months after I started listening to you guys, and I'm like, whatever, what the hell, I'm going to give them a shot, and that was like music to my ears, man. It was actually like kind of refreshing, because right off the top, when I consulted with that Turkey clinic, they were like, oh, send me some pictures of your head, and I still actually have like a pretty like decent amount of hair on my head, but I can tell that it's going right. And he was like, he's like, you're going to need 3,800 grafts. We can do this here, and we'll set you up in a 2-day stay down here. And at the time, I'm like, oh fuck, what a bargain,
Yeah.
keep my hair for $5,000.
They'll pick you up in a limousine. They'll feed you.
Yeah, ball out.
You'll be in a 4-star hotel. The whole shebang.
Exactly.
Yeah. So
and then in 2 years, you'd be like crying under your sink in a fetal position.
Yep. Like, what was I doing?
Yeah.
Should have listened to you guys earlier. But, yeah, so honestly, it's, like I said, I appreciate everything that you guys do. Every Friday night, I'm tuning in. First time calling in, though, so...
Well, I'm glad that you called in.
Thank you so much.
I'm glad you were able to be helped. And I would consider... the reality of your situation. I don't know. I mean, maybe there are people like Joe who's never had any issue, but I don't think there's a man alive that hasn't had an issue at one point in their life. With that, and then when that happens, it's in your head. So, you're just not giving yourself the best possible opportunity to really keep the hair that you have. You may never need a transplant, brother.
Yeah.
Yeah. I hope not. I hope not. So yeah, like I said, I haven't really crossed off the Propecia for sure. Like I'm definitely more open to taking it than I was when I first started in the hair loss journey. But I do have that consultation, which I was telling you about. It's July 5th, so I'm going to go see what this clinic has to say. I never specifically said that I'm interested in PRP to these guys, so I just kind of want to see what they have to say. If they want to see if they're going to try and say, oh, you need a transplant, or you're not really at that stage.
What's the name of the clinic?
The Toronto Hair Transplant Surgeons.
Okay. You may need a transplant by the time you see them.
Sounds legit.
It's right in the name. Yeah, they. I know it doesn't mean everything, but they had some good Google reviews and whatnot too. I know that's. You
may all of a sudden become a great candidate for hair transplant surgery.
Well, that's why I was calling you guys. I want to let you know, and I'll definitely be calling in after my consultation and letting you guys know how it goes.
Yeah, let us know. I'd be curious, man. Good luck.
Thanks, boys. Right. Happy Friday, and thanks for taking the time to answer my questions. I've wanted to ask for a little while now, so I finally bit the bullet.
It's our pleasure, man. Take care.
Glad you called. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Good
luck.
See you, Spencer. Bye.
Okay.
Thanks. Bye.
Saved another one.
Saved another one. I'm trying to look up Toronto hair transplant surgeons. And
You know, a lot of Jack Daniels can do that to you too, people.
That's right. Oh, here it is.
It happened to me. But I usually warn the person. I'm like, look, I'm really loaded. And then there's like a surprise attack. It's like, oh, it's working.
Oh, for F's sake.
What?
Oh, now I know who it is. Oh, Jesus Christ.
Friend of yours?
Yeah. Oh, God. Anyway, it's just
Does he still make
rebranding.
Making a lot of websites?
No.
Oh.
No. It's someone trying to rebrand. Oh, God. Anyway.
Oh, now I have to look at it. You have time for one more call, Joe? You want to call tonight?
Let's do a quick one.
Quick call, guys. You heard him. Hey, you're on the air. Who's this? Where are you calling from?
Hello. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Hi, this is Simran. Calling. I'm calling from New York.
Hi, man. What's
Sean?
happening?
What was that?
Did you say Sean?
Simran, or you can call me Sim.
Sim. Okay. How you doing, Sim?
Yes.
Oh, by the way,
hello.
last caller. Now that I'm looking at the clinic, you are going to be a candidate for hair transplant surgery.
Guaranteed.
Just know that. Guaranteed. All right, brother. What's happening?
Okay, so first I want to say thank you to both of you guys because you guys been giving a lot of information to all of us about hair loss and stuff like that. So thank you to both of you.
You're
a
welcome.
lot for that.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So I
Pleasure.
am 25 years old, and I want to actually I learned some things from you guys already. I think
Do me a
Joe,
favor.
you talked about this
Speak
before.
into your phone microphone as best as you can.
Okay. So yeah, okay, sure, thank you. So Joe, I think you've hit this topic before. So I actually had traction alopecia. I used to, because I'm a Sikh and I used to wear a turban.
Got it.
So I did get one hair transplant about 2 years ago in 2022. And it was with, I think you guys know him, Dr. Blake Bloxham.
Sure.
And it went pretty good so far.
That's great.
The only thing is, so I'm a young guy, 25, right? And the thing is, I usually just wear my hair down, kind of towards my forehead,
Yeah.
Because if I comb it back, I feel like this looks like a broader, bigger forehead.
Right.
I recently was thinking maybe, so I've been taking finasteride because I'm not sure if I have androgenic alopecia or not. Maybe it's just traction alopecia. But I just take it, just in case, finasteride. And I also did start oral minoxidil, 2.5 about 2 months ago, just to see if that thickens up everything, And then I wanted to hear your thoughts about, if Stapleton wanted to increase a little bit more in density, what do you guys think about a second hair transplant in that region, in the same region?
Well, what did Dr. Bloxham say about your male pattern baldness possibility?
Yeah, it's funny. He actually made a video about my case about traction alopecia and showing my results and stuff like that. If you comb it back, it actually looks really good. If you comb it back.
Yeah.
But I don't like that comb back look because it shows my forehead a lot. But if I comb it down, it just frames my face so much nicer.
Yeah.
It looks good. I just have to I use my existing hair as well. To kind of mix it, and then it looks really good sometimes. The only thing is, though, sometimes I am concerned if it moves, and stuff like that. So that's the only thing.
I've lived my entire life being concerned about my hair moving.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So that's one thing that just is annoying. So that's why I was thinking about maybe getting another one just to have it full, a little bit denser.
Well, I'm gonna let Joe wanted to answer your question, but my question is, before you move on, again, what does Dr. Bloxham say about your male pattern baldness?
So
do you actually have male pattern baldness?
He said maybe slightly, maybe in the crown, but I it's really not that much. I just use a little bit of fibers there, right?
Yeah.
And I'm using a finasteride and oral minoxidil.
There's no maybe. If he sees miniaturization in the crown, that means that you are dealing with some degree of male pattern baldness, even if it's going to be minuscule. So that's why I wanted
Yeah,
to know.
yeah.
You're taking finasteride, and you want to you don't want to take it as a preventative. You want to take it for a reason.
Right. So, because the thing is with having the turban, because it's a top knot, right?
Yeah.
So, like, I don't know if that caused some damage there as well, So I'm not sure, So he said, possibly. So then I just started taking it, just in case.
Right.
He doesn't prescribe it. I just got it from I think it was from Keeps. But now I'm getting it from another online.
I find that, and again, I'm going to ask Joe this. I find that interesting that, it's because Feller didn't want to prescribe it for whatever his reasons, whatever the I'm not even going to say it, whatever the reasons were, and now Bloxam doesn't prescribe it as well. And I remember him telling me he's not in the job, he's not in the, his job is not to prescribe medication. His job is to move hair. That's what Feller told me. I was like, holy shit. That's not a good attitude, in my opinion. But anyway, go ahead.
His reason was that he say my primary care or a dermatologist, they probably know my history more.
Yeah.
Because I don't see him as often, So he should say depression or anything like that.
Right.
So I guess maybe that was his reason. But he said he'll fill it. Say if I needed a prescription, he could fill it. Here and there. If I needed it that way. But I just get it online because it's not too expensive.
Sure.
So I've been doing that. So I guess I got lucky. So what he did was he did the FUT, right, the strip, right? He was aiming for 2,500 grafts. He was able to pull out a little bit more, around 2,900. And then, so I think it looks like it grew, but to me, I would like a little bit denser because I do like, having the hair down. So what are your thoughts? Because, I guess it was mostly the front, hairline that was done, and then the temples look great. The hair, the front.
Well, here's the good news. I don't mean to cut you off. The good news is that you've already had a really good result, and that you found a doctor that you're comfortable with, and who was able to produce for you. That's huge.
Yeah.
Executed a great hair transplant. You're happy with the results.
Mm-hmm.
Every time you go under the knife, you take a chance. That's just the way that it is. And, you could end up having shock loss, even if you transplant hair. You could end up having other complications, infections, necrosis, all kinds of shit. Shit happens.
Mm-hmm.
But you already know that you're seeing a good physician that you're happy with, so that's good. My advice is I can't tell you what to do, what not to do.
Yeah.
If your doctor thinks that you make a good candidate for another surgery just to up your game a little bit, then that's between you and your doctor.
Yeah.
But the risks are real.
Yeah.
Every time you go you go under that knife and he uses a knife, the risk is real.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's the reason why. I originally thought I would never want another hair transplant, in the future.
Hold on, Joe. I'm going to put the camera on you. I'll be right back.
Thanks.
Wait, all right. Are you still there, Joe?
So I'm here. I'm going to go ahead and tell you what I think because while you and Spencer were having your powwow, I decided to look up your case on YouTube and I found it.
Yeah. Oh, you found it? Okay. Yeah.
And I'm watching the comb through.
Yeah.
And it's not very close up. It's hard to see, but
yeah.
I'll be honest with you. I mean, look, two problems with what I'm seeing, how this is presented is number one, the camera, he never gets in close to your actual result. It looks like it's from about 5 feet away. And then he sprays your hair with a water bottle so that he can comb through it easier. Now, typically, well, I won't go into some other things that can do to the result, but based on what I'm seeing here,
huge trick of the trade, by the way. I'll let Joe finish.
Yes. Okay. But I did see it before it was sprayed. Before he actually sprayed it. I don't think you even need anything. In fact, in a case like yours, adding more density might actually cause more harm than good. He did a good job.
Well,
he did a good job.
I was gonna say, like, if I look at it under, like, more light, you can kind of see it looks a little bit more see-through. And I also just got SMP recently, and I feel like it doesn't, I don't like the comb back because, it's a little bit see-through, but also, like, it makes my forehead look a lot bigger. And then I have, like, my corners, I think the scalp, sort of, not the scalp, like my skull structure, it's like on the corners, it's kind of like pointed out or curved kind of. So it just makes my forehead look a lot bigger. So that's why I like usually, combing it down. And it's not bad. It just, I feel like sometimes, it can move and then show my, my, like this, forehead a little bit. So that's what I was wondering, if you guys happen to know, say if I were to get a second hair transplant in that area, how would that be, and then in that case for me also, I have, that's probably a little bit of scar tissue, right? Because of traction alopecia. So I was wondering if you guys have ever seen those kind of cases before where they've tried to do a second transplant.
Yeah. Look, I live in an area, I live in Western Canada, in the Vancouver area. There's a huge sick population here, huge. And many of the patients that I dealt with when I worked in clinic were sicks dealing with traction alopecia. So I'm very familiar with your type of case. As far as the scarring goes, it's very superficial. So that's not anything that needs to be of concern. I've never seen that being an issue before. Okay. Most cases do require 2 passes because when we're dealing with traction alopecia on sick patients, we're dealing with
usually sick. How do you pronounce it?
It's really sick. In the U.S., they pronounce it wrong. Actually, it's not sick.
Exactly.
It's really sick.
No, and listen, I'm good for Joe. I'm just trying to figure this out.
I don't know. Yo, I know.
Look, if this Italian finasteride fucks me up, I'm going to become a sick.
That's sick, yo. All right. So the thing with cases like yours is we're usually trying to match or blend in with density on someone that's not dealing with androgenic alopecia, that's not dealing with hair loss. So there's almost always a very stark demarcation. Really thin hair, and sometimes no hair because the traction was so thorough.
Yeah.
Switching over to a wall of hair, a wall of strong, terminal, not thinning hair. So the challenge is to match the density in the area of traction alopecia to the area of full-on zero alopecia. And that's difficult.
Definitely not matching at all. Yeah. So you're right. It is difficult. That's why.
Yeah. So my question to you is, when you say wear your hair down, are you talking like a Caesar cut?
Well, kind of like
or
my
bangs,
hair,
like you're trying to have bangs.
Kind of like so what like have you seen like the new hairstyles? Like a lot of guys have like all the hair kind of combed front, kind of nice that way. Or I was thinking about some people have it that it goes a little bit down, then it has like a wave and goes back. I was gonna try to do that. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, it looks like not bad. It's just that sometimes it's annoying where I really have to like try to make it perfect. Then I like throughout the day I always look at the mirror, just to make sure it looks good or try to fix it. Which is always kind of annoying,
I totally get it. Okay, I totally get it.
Yeah.
The situation is like most of the traction patients that are sicks, it's usually on one side of the scalp. It's usually like the entire temple region from the sideburn all the way up is just gone.
Yeah.
Your case, it's the hairline and some of your temples. So So the density actually doesn't need to be as high as it would need to be on the sides. Now, here's the thing. You said something very key. You said it's sometimes annoying. That right there, my friend, disqualifies you from having, in my view, from legitimately wanting another surgery. Like, I get it. It's annoying sometimes. You can't do the current hairstyle that's all the rage with other guys your age. It'll be over with in 6 months. No one will be doing this hairstyle in 6 months or a year at most. Okay, it'll be a different hairstyle. So you want to have surgery in a few months for a hairstyle that will be out of fashion by the time your result even comes to fruition.
Dude, my hairstyle took 30 years to get back into fashion. I waited. And you know what? Guess who's winning?
Well,
This guy.
I'll add this. So it's not just annoying. Honestly, it's like I would say it's a lot more. Like it kind of just brings my mood down because it's just like most people around my age, they have perfect. They don't have to worry about anything with the hair. And right now I am limited right now with different hairstyles I can do because how I feel like it does just because it's not as dense. So that's another thing. I can't really
Listen,
do many hairstyles.
we were both balding at your age.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We were both. I want you to put this in perspective. We were both balding. Joe had already walking around looking like he had a doll's head when he was your age.
I look like a circus act. So, and it doesn't take away from what you're going through.
No, it doesn't diminish
it's all
that.
relative.
No, of course.
But I think that, like, I'm looking at your photos and your video. I think you win.
Mm-hmm.
I think you win. No one would look at you and think that you're losing your hair. No one would look at you and think that you ever had traction alopecia.
Yeah.
I was going to ask you, your family history. Does your father, grandfather, uncles on mother's or father's side have hair loss?
So my dad, he had, I think in his 50s, that's when it started. My brother, I'm not sure right now, him, because he might have some thinning on his crown. But that's why I told him to get, he's been taking finasteride now. And then one of my uncles, I know he has like a full head of hair, which is awesome for him, and I think he's like 60 plus now. But the other ones I don't know because some of them, also wear turbans, so that's hard to see if it's, from traction alopecia or not.
It kind of gets in the way. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, so the family history is kind of murky. Look, I think that, and I was asking about that because of the medications and stuff that you're doing, because you said that you might not have hair loss at all. So,
yeah.
I don't think you should have a hair transplant. That's pure and simple. But because you're probably going to, like I could see guys like you coming a mile away.
Yeah,
because you're leaning towards it anyway.
Well,
I would tread very carefully. It is possible, and let me finish my thought. Okay, it is possible, but here's why I was saying it's not a good idea. Okay, and this isn't just for your case. This is anyone out there that has good density from one or two surgeries or however many surgeries. When density gets to a certain point, it becomes more dangerous to actually go back into that same area because you need a lot more precision to not damage the hair that's already been transplanted with the tool that's cutting for the incisions for the new hair to be transplanted. Okay?
Yeah.
So there is a chance that you could have some permanent shock loss, and this isn't a shot against Dr. Bloxham because this is universal. And for the record, I think he did a good job with you.
Yeah. I might actually have some permanent shock loss from where the strip was taken.
I actually saw that.
Yeah.
I saw that in the. I didn't examine it. I just quickly glanced. I thought maybe the area looked like it was a bit thin, but I didn't examine it. So, what do I know? But
or it could. Yeah. But or you know what? I saw those. Maybe those areas were also thinner before because of the turban. I remember one part I saw. One time I was looking at it, but I could also be from shock loss from the surgery as well.
Yeah. Well, I think that's probably. Well, I won't comment on that. We're talking about your hairline. I think that you're good as you are, and these are the reasons why I think it's dangerous to go back in for another surgery. It's because your density is already pretty good. It may work out fine. Like devil's advocate here. It may be perfectly fine.
Yeah.
Knock yourself out, but I prefer caution over the approach as opposed to ambition.
Right.
Listen, brother, we got to call it a night, and you can call back next week. Don't rush into this, obviously. I think that I understand, and again, I didn't mean to diminish how you're feeling about it. I just wanted to put a little perspective out there that there are guys who would, 25 years old, who would fucking give it a left nut to have hair like yours right now.
Yeah.
You know, that's just the reality, and it is a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
And you know, I
Yeah.
remember getting comments about my hair and the way I had to style it when I was 25 years old. But you know, eventually, when you're when you're in your 50s and you can still style it the same way, you're okay. But it's a hard road to have to deal with when you're looking at yourself and you don't feel completely confident or comfortable.
Yeah.
So I totally understand it.
Look
So-
at, I just sent you the link. Look at his quick comb through. Look at his result.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Let me see.
I just sent it to Spencer.
But I
Spencer,
told
so you
I
can have a
can't
look.
though. I can't comb it back though. It just does not look good for me.
Why is there?
I get it.
Why is this wing person chick on an ad here? All right.
Can I ask,
Yeah,
can I
he
ask
did.
you one quick question,
He did.
if you guys don't mind?
He did a super. I mean, he did a really good job. I mean, I do see what Joe is discussing as far as the imaging, and let's see it coming through here.
Can I ask you one quick question, if you guys don't mind?
Sure, I'm looking at your hair. Go ahead.
Okay, so I am actually very health conscious because actually, it's funny because I actually want to become a physician as well. So one thing though, I was wondering about hair fibers because if you actually look at the fibers, on the bottle it says do not inhale them, right? This is with inhalation, and if you actually look at them, they're so tiny,
Yeah, you're inhaling them all day, brother.
Exactly, yeah. So I only put them, that's why I don't put them in the front. I only put them a little bit in the crown, just to make it a little bit better. And I always wear a mask when I'm doing it. So, you guys agree, right? You should be careful with them, right?
Well, I mean, listen, everything. Dermatch has talc in it. Is the talc contaminated with asbestos? I don't know. They claim it's American talc. Who the fuck knows?
Yeah.
I've been using that for years. I lived through 9/11. I don't know if I'm going to get the diagnosis. After that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be that concerned about it. If you want to use something that's a little more solid, that's not going to be like fibers, all over. I like Dermatch. There's other products that are similar. There's some talc-free products also that you can use, and you might get the same or better results without worrying about having to wear a mask when you apply it.
Yeah. I mean, I'm fine with the crown, but, with the fibers, because I literally just, tap it against my head, so it doesn't really get in the air that much, really. So that's totally fine. I try using Dermatch. The only thing is Dermatch gets in the hair, and then it makes the hair, hard, kind of, so I don't like that.
That's because you wet it.
Just happen to know. Yeah.
You don't have to wet it. You have to, you put it on dry, and it won't really.
Okay. I've tried that, too. It just gets on the hair as well.
Yeah.
I think for me, it just have a little bit too much hair too for the Dermatch. Do you have any other suggestions by any chance?
No, I'm looking at your hair right now.
Okay.
You got a lot of hair, man. You got a lot of hair still.
Yeah.
I mean, I could understand. I mean, I know that you want it to be perfect.
Yeah.
He did a reasonable job. I mean, given the extent of your hair loss, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. And one thing I didn't realize
and that's significant hairline lowering too.
Yeah.
Yeah. But the thing is, it's just too too big though. The forehead just looks too big, for me, in my opinion. If I comb it down, it just looks 100% better.
Oh, that's how I
when I do that.
I live my life too. I'm looking at Blake's hair. Is there something going on there with Blake? No.
Blake's getting old. Blake finally doesn't look. He stopped looking like he's 12 years old.
Yeah, he's very young. Usually when I saw him, he usually looks pretty young. Yeah.
Well, he's youthful. He's definitely young. Got to get him in the gym, though.
Yeah.
Whatever. Listen, I got to go, brother. I got to eat. I want you to know that we are available every week. Call us if you have more information to provide us with, or you have more questions, you need to vent more. But I would not, given what I just looked at, I don't know, man. You may be unhappy with another surgery. You really might. I mean, he really gave you a good framing of your face. It really is a good height, but also the type of hair that you have. I understand it. I mean, your face is covered, so I can't see how you look with your hair combed back. Your forehead looks good, though. It doesn't look too big.
I don't know. Yeah. If you want to look at, I don't know if you are you still on that video? Because if you look at the comments, I put a comment in there. If you want to look at my hair, it might be in that profile photo.
A comment?
Look at the comments. Yeah, if you look at the comments, I replied to like a one or two. Like, there's one that says, "Oh, is this like a sick person or whatever?" It says like, so if you look at the comments, you might see my profile photo. That's how I usually have my hair down.
What's
Oh,
your
there you
comments
go.
on the
I see it.
video?
I'm on the video. I'm
Yeah,
looking
so
at
it sometimes looks really good like that, but sometimes it just gets moves and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So that's right. Because the thing is, then he said I have like really good density in the what's it called? I have like really good donor. Like I have maybe like 5,000 grafts left. So that's why I was like considering that.
I think that in the end, it's really up to you and your doctor. You're going to listen to you should listen.
Yeah.
I don't think he's going to guide you in the wrong direction. I mean, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't know him well.
Yeah.
He's never applied to the IHRS. All I know about this
Yeah.
guy is that he used to, work with a really, not a great situation in my view, as far as like working with people with not great characters. But I'm not talking about Dr. Feller. I'm talking about before he became a doctor.
Okay, I see.
Yeah. I got nothing against Dr. Feller. Dr. Feller's with the IHRS for a long time. The reason he started to use microscopes in his practice was because of me. He'll deny that, but when he applied to the IHRS originally, he wasn't even using microscopes. He's like, why do I need microscopes? And then he called my show live, or like I don't know, 6 months later, he goes, I've converted. You're right. I decided to use microscopes in the practice. So anyway, listen, you're in good hands surgically. So I think you should just, rely on your gut and your surgeon. I agree with Joe. I wouldn't have another surgery if I were you, but again, that's your choice.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, brother?
I'll definitely think about it, what you guys said, and also I'm going to look at, I'll see what the low-dose oral minoxidil as well does, I've only been taking it for 2 months.
Okay. All right. Well, good luck, and we're here if you need us.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Okay. Bye-bye.
All right, buddy.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
That was not the short call that I expected.
It's okay. It is what it is.
All right, Joseph, I want to thank you for joining me today for our wonderful little show that we do. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in, and like the program, give it a thumbs up, whatever people do to make it more popular somehow. And until next time, be strong, God bless, and thank you so much for listening. Have a good night.
Thank you very much. I'm sorry for any inconvenience you may have been put to prior to the program, and I'm glad you enjoyed it. And if you could now leave by the exits at the rear, that'd be splendid. Thank you.